If you want to survive, you have to be flexible and be willing to go, where the current takes you. In our business, the biggest challenge is molds, right? So for like a rubber toy, a natural rubber toy, those molds cost 20 to 30 grand. We don't even advertise on Instagram or Facebook or Google.
Adam Baker, founder and CEO at SodaPup, went from turning around Crocs during a global recession to building one of the most creative dog toy brands in the world. With zero ad spend, smart design, and the help of Instagram, Adam turned enrichment toys into a global movement, selling in over 48 countries. Let's hear how he did it.
The problem with having too much money is that you get sloppy and you don't deal with problems that need to be dealt with. And so you can become inefficient. Creativity plays a big role in success. Thinking outside the box, doing things differently than everybody else.
What advice would you give to those watching and listening to us, those founders specifically, that are trying to build strong product brands in niche markets?
E-coffee with experts.
Hey everyone, Victor here, back with E-Coffee with Experts, and today I actually brought you another person that will personally help me a lot. And why is that? Popcorn is a very energetic dog. You guys have heard about her several different episodes. If you go to my LinkedIn, I post about her all the time as well. And she is, again, very much energetic, especially during the night. I think some people have a word for this, but even so, I was completely lost in regards to what I should do, what I could do to enrich my dog with better things. And then I came and I noticed Adam Baker, who is the founder of and the CEO of SodaPup, which is an enrichment toys. I'm gonna say factory, you can correct me, Adam, but I know that you manufacture it and you sell it in the USA. So you are at all in regards to the production of the toys, right?
Well, we use third-party manufacturers. They are all based in the US.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna be talking about enrichment dog toys made and sold in the US, but from somebody who knows what he's talking about. You see, Adam has spent a lot of his years working in different companies before he ended up founding SodaPup. But instead of listening from me, we can actually ask the guy. Adam, thank you for coming to the show. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Victor.
It is, as I said, such a pleasure, such an honor, especially because I am going to learn a lot, even from following you around, from checking your website, from checking your social media. We can now understand even better how dogs should be treated nowadays in this home office remote era where we are always with the dog. It's good to have the knowledge that brands like SodaPup is here to help. Adam, I think we can start as I was talking about you. So you are kind of a product fashion veteran. You worked at Nike, Under Armour, Crocs, and right now SodaPup, where you made it all happen together. But before we talk about dogs themselves, why don't you go through how your life was at that time working for those companies? Crocs, for example, is very dear in my heart. I met my wife when I had a broken toe and I was wearing Crocs, to which I told her at the time I was
wearing
yes,
Crocs.
there she is, here she is right next to me 7 years later. Our post-wedding photo shoot was of us both wearing Crocs. So we are very, very much fond of Crocs. It's a brand that would stick with us together for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
But what about you? How did it happen for you?
How did I wind up at Crocs? Or
Yeah.
Well,
Please tell us about your story.
Sure. Well, so yeah, my story is long and winding. My first career was actually in the Coast Guard. I was an officer in the United States Coast Guard, and I did that
That's
for
nice.
5 years. Then I went back and got an MBA and went to work for Nike. And then after a decade, went from Nike to Under Armour, from Under Armour to Crocs. And I was recruited for the Crocs position. And at the time that I went, which was 2008, which was, there was a deep recession happening all around the globe in 2008. And honestly, Crocs was in financial trouble.
Okay.
Their auditing firm had issued a going concern against the brand, basically saying, we're not sure this company is financially viable. So
wow.
It was a very risky move for me, but I saw, this wonderful brand, but I didn't see great product innovation. And I was hired to run the product strategy for Crocs. And so I thought, well, if I can fill the product pipeline with interesting on-brand products that were, targeting the sweet spot of their consumer, I could fill that pipeline. They were selling in over 200 countries. I could fill that pipeline with interesting product and help the brand recover. And in essence, that's what we did. And the brand did recover. So it was was a really fascinating experience. It was a difficult experience. I mean, I'll tell you that turnaround situations are very difficult for a
Yeah.
lot of reasons. I mean, some is just the business reality that you're facing. We had to do three rounds of layoffs before I barely knew people's names. I was brand
Oh,
new.
wow.
And so that was difficult. But then you have other challenges as well, because I was brought in from the outside. And, there are people in the organization who perhaps resent having outsiders brought in to help fix the
Uh-huh.
business. So, on the other hand, it's an incredibly enriching experience to work under pressure to develop a strategy and implement it and get it into the marketplace, to learn from it as quickly as possible, to try to,
I imagine.
get the business back on track. So it was painful and gratifying all at the same time.
That's great. And then I know that you left Crocs to go to another company before you founded SodaPup,
Yeah,
which was eBags. Is that how I pronounce it?
eBags. Yeah, it was an
eBags. Perfect.
online seller of luggage and handbags and things of that nature. It's a Denver-based company, since been
I see.
sold. But the truth is, I'd already started the precursor to SodaPup, and so I was running my own business at the same time that I was working at eBags. And the eBags experience was interesting mainly because I'd never worked in a pure play e-commerce business before. So I knew a lot about product and product development, product design. But when you work at an e-commerce company, when people talk about the product, they're actually talking about the website, not what you're selling. So it was a very, very different experience for me. And I was there for less than a year, but I learned a ton. And then I've applied, a lot of that experience to what I do now, primarily a B2B business here at SodaPup. We sell to retailers through a
Mm-hmm.
network of distributors, also directly, but we do it all through our e-commerce platform. So I had to learn how to be an e-commerce entrepreneur at the same time that I was starting this business.
A
Thankfully, there
lot
are a
has
lot
happened.
of tools out there so that you don't need to be, a website developer. You don't need to be an expert. We're on the Shopify platform, which we absolutely love. It's like
And it's the biggest
it's
for a
one of the
reason.
pillars of our business.
That's great to know.
We push everything through Shopify, distributor orders, B2B orders, direct to consumer orders, everything runs through Shopify. We're kind of using it like our enterprise system. Our customer database is in there. Yeah, everything runs through Shopify.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm gonna get eventually to more about your tech stack so that we can even talk more about how you're utilizing AI nowadays, the other tools that are also a part of your operation. But first, I believe not only my question, but those watching us is what inspired you to choose the pet space? So why pets? Why dogs? You were working with footwear and sports. And then even if you ask me like Crocs and enrichment toys, I can see some Crocs being recycled into enrichment toys. It's the same color and material depending on the Crocs, but I'm pretty sure it's not about that. So why dogs? Why the pet? And why soda pop?
Sure. Well, so first of all, it's an interesting insight. There is a connection between Crocs and what I'm doing now, and that
Oh,
is
wow.
that both products are injection molded. So the manufacturing process is the same. We're
I
using different
see.
materials, but the process is the same. So Crocs are basically most of the products are single injection molded products, and that's true of almost our entire product line, single injection molded. So there is that connection there. So when I was working at Crocs, I was listening to a financial report, and they talked about how the pet industry grew by 4% and 8. So, global economies were crashing, and here was this industry that was growing. And I thought, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's really interesting. We have a recession-proof business or a category. I should take a closer look. And I'm a dog lover. At the time I had 3 dogs and 2 cats. And there's a similarity between sporting goods and the pet industry. So the thing that
Okay.
drives sporting goods is people's passion for sport, right? So if you're
True.
you're in Europe, so, you're probably an avid soccer fan, football fan. You've got your favorite team. There you go. And so it's passion that's driving that industry. And so at a place like Nike or Under Armour, we're, you know, developing new product lines that tie into new seasons, professional football,
Mm-hmm.
baseball, soccer, what have you, hockey.
New kits, new tournament, as you said, so new
Right.
seasons. Perfect.
And then, sporting goods brands use athletes to market their products, to essentially create a pull strategy, to create demand for the product. And so in the pet industry, people are equally passionate about their pets. And we saw this really explode during the pandemic when people were, getting pets. Many were getting pets for the first time because they were at home and it was a good time to adopt an animal because you had the time. And so I thought, okay, both of these industries are driven by passion. What if I could run the Nike playbook in the pet space? Could I apply these principles that I learned into a category where clearly that was not the prevailing way of running a business? And so that's what I've been doing. And when I say the Nike playbook, well, what I'm talking about is it really boils down to just a handful of things. The first thing is the thing you learn at Nike from day one is it's all about the consumer. Consumer.
Oh.
Who is that person? What do they need to better perform in their particular sport? And so everything starts with the consumer. That then leads to innovative design. How do we give the customer something they didn't even know that they needed, but it makes them better? Then the next step is to put it on an athlete and create demand. And so at a brand like Nike and even at Under Armour, those are not promotional brands. They're not trying to incentivize you to buy by giving you a discount. What they're doing is incentivizing you to buy by inspiring you, by showing you the world's best athletes wearing your product. That creates demand with retailers to carry that product because customers are going into stores saying, where can I get this product? How come you don't have this product? And so it's more of what I call a pull strategy. You're pulling the product through retail rather than pushing it into retail through discounting and pushing it out of retail through discounting. It's a much healthier way to run a brand. And if you have really cool and innovative product, then it's worth the price. People will pay full price because it's unique and they can't get it for less somewhere else. And it's worth the money. So that's the Nike playbook. So what I've tried to do is clearly identify our customer. And, predominantly we're selling to women, like 75 to 80% of our consumers are women. And so I thought, well, what if we could create beautiful designs that are functional for dogs, but they're really designed for the consumer who is, who is a woman. So we want to make things beautiful as well as functional. And so that informs our designs. It informs our color palette. It informs kind of our brand voice. And so we're trying to create these really unique products, unlike other things that you find in the pet industry. And then through social media, we just went over 100,000 followers on Instagram. We're trying to, that's our version of putting product on an athlete. We almost exclusively repost user-generated content. And it's wonderful.
That's very
We've
nice.
got retailers and consumers and all kinds of people posting about our products, or they're posting about their dog, but they're using our products and they're showing how they're using our products. So it's very inspirational. And we love to celebrate the people that are using our products. So we repost the user-generated content. And so that's our form of putting our products on athletes, if you will.
That's very nice.
Demand. So that creates demand. And then people go into stores saying, hey, where can I get this? And so we've opened retailers all around the world. I mean, we sell in about 48 countries right now. And we did that, thanks to Instagram, largely, because it's a global platform and people were seeing our products. And then the other thing we've done is we've had a very unusual cadence of new product introductions. So most pet brands are pretty slow moving. They don't introduce a lot of new products. And, most pet brands are actually producing in Asia, largely in China. And so they have a very narrow product offering and they're buying a lot of inventory. So they're narrow and deep because they're filling containers and shipping across the ocean. We produce in the US, so we have very short lead times because we're based in the US. And so that allows me to have a broader product offering, less inventory, but then I can chase demand wherever I need it. I don't need to buy tons of inventory and take big financial risk and tie up all my capital on products sitting in my warehouse. Instead, I can redeploy it and redeploy my capital across more SKUs, have just-in-time inventory management, and it has allowed me to introduce a lot of new products. And so in some regards, the new product introduction strategy is a marketing strategy because it always gives us something new to post about on Instagram. And, there's always new things coming out. And so it creates excitement in a category that, previously just wasn't very exciting. It's like the way I think about it is if you get a dog and you buy your dog a stainless steel dog bowl, then you're only ever going to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
You will never need another bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sell that customer a bowl with a beautiful design, like one of these behind me,
Which they are beautiful indeed.
and you sell the concept of enrichment, so we should talk about this for a second. So enrichment, so dogs have natural foraging instincts. And when you feed a dog food in a bowl, they don't need to forage because they don't have to work for their food at all. It's all right there. As a result, they tend to eat too fast. And when you eat really fast, you're not producing enough, the dog is not producing enough saliva, which has enzymes that help break down the food. So eating fast can lead to bloat and gut health and gassiness. And, it's just not that great for your dog. And so the idea of a slow feeder bowl or a lick mat is to create a foraging challenge for your dog, which slows them down. It also makes them happier because it's engaging their brain. They actually want to work for their food. And so you're going to improve their gut health. You're going to make them happy because it's stimulating for them. And so this idea of enrichment also gives us the opportunity to create multiple products because you want to give your dog a different puzzle each time. The dogs are smart. They'll learn how to use something. And so you have to keep rotating, different designs. So what we've done in a sense is created a bit of a fashion cycle to a category, call it dog bowls, that used to be super slow moving and boring, where, a pet retailer could carry one or two bowls and they would have the category covered. Mm-hmm. And, they're not selling very many, but they don't need very many. And then we come along and we create all these beautiful designs with great color. We talk about enrichment and suddenly retailers making more and more money from a category that didn't used to produce a lot of revenue. And so it's a great opportunity for a retailer to increase sales in a category that was previously very, very sleepy, very slow moving.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes so much, especially you're talking about, again, since I'm a dog owner, I can see the things that you're talking about. I can see how it's better for popcorn to have the enrichment. How do you say? Not bowl, the mat,
The lick mat.
Yes, the lick mat. Yes, exactly. It's very much interesting to see the differences between her utilizing it against not utilizing anything and just eating out of the bowl. So that is indeed something that we can immediately as owners see the feedback, see the changes, the results. And since dogs and cats are so Instagrammable, naturally we want to take pictures, we want to share these videos, we want to make sure that more people know about the things that we are working on right now. And as you said,
there's a bit of a performance element to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
The thing that we didn't anticipate in the beginning was that people would decorate the dog's meals. And
I see what you mean.
So, honestly, we got into the enrichment category, lick mats, during the pandemic. And the reason was because I was spending more time working from home. And I had a black lab named Buddy, who was very needy. He was a rescue. So it was difficult for me to do a podcast or a Zoom call or whatever.
I know what you're talking about.
Without being interrupted by the dog. And so I had a friend mention a lick mat and I thought, lick mat, what's that? Like this is in 2020. So it's not that long ago. And I didn't even know what a lick mat was. So I went out and I bought some and I tested them with Buddy. And I really liked the idea, but I didn't like the products themselves. I thought they were boring. They also didn't keep my dog busy for very long. They were too easy. Buddy could, the samples I bought from competitors, Buddy could lick a mat clean in 5 minutes.
God,
and I was
that's
like,
not long enough.
A lick mat that's going to take him 45 minutes, not 5 minutes. And they were really floppy and they warped in the dishwasher. And so I kind of made a list of the things I liked and the things I didn't like, and then set out to build a better lick mat. And our first design was a jigsaw puzzle.
Okay.
The jigsaw puzzle. Here,
please do.
So the jigsaw puzzle has these self-contained shapes. And what I started seeing on Instagram is that people were putting different color. They're like mixing yogurt with spirulina and other things to get different colors. And they were filling the different pieces with different colors and then photographing it and putting it on Instagram. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting.
That is interesting.
I did not anticipate that behavior. But then I thought, okay, well, if that's what people want to do, what if we do more designs that have self-contained shapes so that people can decorate those designs. And then when we moved into shallow slow feeder bowls and then deep slow feeder bowls, we've applied those same principles. And as a result, people use our products in very unique ways that are unique to SodaPup products. For example, I don't know if you can see this. This is the cover of Pet Age magazine, and this is our honeycomb bowl. And you can see people are using it like a charcuterie board.
It's so nice.
It's fascinating. And this photo was taken by someone in Australia,
Oh,
and
it traveled very far to get
it was an
to
Instagram
you.
post. It was an Instagram post. So I reached out to her and I said, listen, Pet Age Magazine is interested in doing a story on enrichment. They love this photo
Mm-hmm.
that they saw because I had reposted it on my account. It's like, would it be
Mm-hmm.
okay if we used the photo? And she was thrilled.
Of
We
course.
also have a podcast and she's featured on our podcast.
Ah, that's so nice.
Anyway, but this is what people were doing. So so now we build this feature into all of our products because it increases consumer engagement and it drives people to post on Instagram, which then fuels the brand.
Word of mouth is so important, especially
Yeah, it's
for
new age. It's new age word of mouth. It's global, and it's what I'm dating myself here, but when I went to college, personal computers didn't exist. Think about that. So
yeah.
I mean, this is it just cracks me up that here I am. I'm now an e-commerce entrepreneur with 100,000 followers on
So
Instagram.
crazy.
I'm a
It's that's
complete
so nice.
I'm a complete idiot at these things. It's like doesn't come naturally to me. Not like my kids who grew up with all of this stuff,
Yeah, it's different.
but it's very, very powerful. And if you embrace it, and you mentioned AI as well, and we use AI in a number of different ways.
Please share.
Sure. I mean, I understand the concerns that people have about AI, but as a small business owner, it's so incredibly powerful.
It is. It is.
Um,
Changes our lives for the best if we know how to
yeah.
use it properly.
And I don't know that I have a tech stack that terminology kind of intimidates me, but we do use a variety of different tools. One is, we're on Shopify, and Shopify is using
Perfect.
AI to write product descriptions. So even just those little thought starters can save a lot of time. So we use that. I use ChatGPT to help me write press releases, which again takes, a task that might take me 45 minutes to an hour. It kind of reduces it to less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I double check what their, for example, we just launched with a new distributor in the southeastern United States. And so the press release includes a little blurb about that distributor as well as about us. And so rather than me going out and having to do a bunch of research about that distributor, it just
What's
does
that?
it. And then I just double check it to make sure it's accurate. So we use that. I use a site called Synthesia, creates videos. And so,
Okay.
so on our site, we have a couple of different types of videos. We just have straight videos of dogs using the product, all kind of
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. But then I also have a talking head video, what I call a talking head video. And so it's usually 4 or 5 slides with an avatar talking about the product. And so, for example, we have maybe 35 different lick mat SKUs, and the basic information about lick mats is the same for all of them. And then there's just a few bits of information that are unique to that product. And so if I want to create a talking head video for every design, that could take forever if I'm creating original content. So what I've done is, I use AI to write the script, and it's just scraping the information on my site. And so it writes the script, and then I change the things the way that I want, and I basically create a template, and then I can drop in the product image, change the title, change a few little bits of information, change the avatar and the voice, and produce it, and then go to the next one, change those few little things, produce it. So, in a couple of afternoons, I can create all those videos, and it saves me so much time and money. And the avatars are like, if you didn't know that, you wouldn't be able to tell. Most people would not be able to tell.
That is true.
So Synthesia has been very powerful. I use another program called Recraft.
Mm-hmm.
Recraft, read an article about AI used in photography. And, a lot of them, in my experience, are not very good. Like you wind up with dogs with 3 eyes and 2 tails and a missing leg, all
10
kinds of crazy.
fingers, 2
Yeah,
tongues.
very difficult to use. But I had read about Recraft, about how good it was. So I went out, and sure enough, I mean, the results are pretty incredible. So,
That's nice to know.
tomorrow is Independence Day, 4th of July here in the United States. And so, I went to Recraft and I typed in a prompt I wanted a dog dressed in a 4th of July costume with a parade in the background.
So nice.
And it creates results and beautiful results. And then
Uh-huh.
I take that image and then I add things to the image. And then I've got a banner for my website that took me 15 minutes to create instead of an hour or two. So we use it that way.
Technology has evolved so much.
Yeah.
So
So,
much.
so those are the main ways. And then I actually use an app called Photo Room, and you can use it on
Okay.
the website, but you can use it on your phone. And it is so good for product photography.
Mm-hmm.
I shoot everything in a white box on my desk, and that software is really, really good at removing backgrounds. Otherwise, I'm doing it in Photoshop, and that's manual. And
Would take too much. You would
yeah,
have to have somebody only
exactly.
doing that all the time.
But I'm really stunned at how good it is at removing backgrounds. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't leave a halo, it doesn't miss sections. It's just really, really good. And then, if you are creating uh, posts for Instagram or other social media, they've got all these templates where you can drop your photo image in, and there's always some personalization, customization that you do to make it your own, but it gets you most of the way there in a fraction of the time. And so I'm a big fan of Photo Run as well.
That's very
Trying to,
nice.
trying to think what else I use. Those are the big ones.
No, and I already can only say thank you for even sharing which one they are. Those that are watching and listening to us, they'll probably go ahead and type like, oh, what is this? What is that? What is that? So very nice of you to do so. And I highly appreciate you also telling your whole story, how you started SodaPup, how, as you said so yourself, Instagram is unbelievably good for you. It's always interesting to see different use cases for different channels, and having social media being your number one, I think it's a given. People want to like pictures of dogs and cats. And so you having the toys already over there with the dogs, with the community that you built, makes a lot of sense that Instagram is indeed the most important channel for you.
SodaPup is, I think of SodaPup currently as a three-legged stool. So the first leg is the Shopify platform. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons we love Shopify is that it's a bit like an iPhone, meaning, an iPhone, you can use it as a phone, but it does 500 other things because of all the apps you can download. And Shopify is the
Sure.
same way. There's so many apps that you can use to customize your store and give you capabilities. And you don't need a web developer to do all, to write the
Perfect.
code. So Shopify is incredibly powerful, along with the third-party apps that we use. The second leg of the stool is Instagram, because it's given us a global audience. And that just comes with a lot of discipline. I mean, you have to post regularly, like every day.
True. Consistency is key.
Yeah. And then the third leg is a wholesale selling platform called Faire.com, Faire. And Faire was especially important to us when they expanded to Europe, because what was happening was we had created demand with Instagram in Europe, but we didn't really have a way to sell in Europe.
I see.
And so, because we didn't have distributors, and distributors don't want to buy your product if you don't already have an audience in the market where they sell. They're not interested in
Depend. Yeah.
developing your brand for you. They just want to distribute the product. So
True.
it's a kind of chicken or the egg. It's like, well, how am I going to get a distributor if I don't have any retailers already buying my
Mm-hmm.
product? And then Faire expanded to Europe, and they had great benefits for retailers, like up to $150 worth of free product on your first order, free shipping for the first year, 60-day payment terms. And so that enabled us to open lots of retailers throughout the 17 countries where they operate. And then that created demand. So then I could attract distributors. So then I was able to build a distributor network. And so it's kind of like, between Shopify and Instagram and Faire, it has really enabled us to grow the business to where we are today. There's still a lot of growth ahead, but
Sure.
to be able to make it this far has been a journey.
And that's very much your merit. So congratulations for because as far as I know, you never started with VC money. You never started with a huge investment. It was all done through your own effort and growth, right? Since
Yeah, it's a
2012.
bootstrap operation. I do have one investor who gave us some money very early on, but
Okay.
since then we've been bootstrapping it the whole way. We don't even use a line of credit. I mean, we basically cash flow the business, which
So nice.
I like. I mean, it's possible that we could grow the business faster if we took other people's money, but then I have to give up equity, and I have to give up control, and
Control, yeah.
I spend all my time managing investors instead of managing the business. So
Yeah.
I've kind of steered clear of that. The other thing is, when you bootstrap a business, it forces you to make difficult decisions. The problem with having too much money is that you get sloppy and you don't deal with
Mm.
problems that need to be dealt with. And so you can become inefficient if you don't feel the pain points, and you don't feel the pain points when there's cash in your account. So the nice thing about bootstrapping is that you are forced to confront anything that, pulls
It
you down.
shows up in your way.
Yeah.
Any obstacles, right? Look,
So
I
I think
think this is
I think you end up running a much healthier business. It might be a smaller business, but it is a healthier business when you do it this way.
Taking into consideration everything that you just said, I have a last question that I feel like you're going to have fun answering to. So you literally covered everything in regards to your growth, how your operation runs right now, where you're getting most of the engagement for the different channels. So in regards to everything that happened, now that we know that this is a brilliantly and beautiful success story, what advice would you give to those watching and listening to us, those founders specifically, that are trying to build strong product brands in niche markets such as pet and any other ones without huge ad budgets, without huge investments, literally in a situation that you found yourself in 2012?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll point out we don't do any digital advertising. None. We don't even advertise on Instagram or Facebook or Google or so, I guess the thing that I would say is one of the things that has struck me is I've got so many people marketing services to me constantly.
Okay.
And, you just have to ask yourself the tough questions like, do I really need this? Is this thing really going to is it going to drive more revenue? Is it going to save me money? And so it's kind of weeding through all the things that are being thrown at you in terms of services and whatnot.
And there's so much nowadays.
It's endless. I mean, half my inbox every day is stuff like that.
I imagine.
The other thing that I would say is you have to be flexible. I mean, the reality is that the vast majority of our revenue today comes from products that we didn't even make 5 years ago. And we've been in business for 12 years. So if you pay attention to the market and the consumer and you go where they're, indicating you should go, then like sometimes people are very rigid, like this is who we are, this is what we're about. And they really want to make that work. If you want to survive, you have to be flexible and be willing to go, where the current takes you, And so, yeah, I would definitely say that that's been critical to our success is the willingness to try new things that we thought the market was telling us we should do. And don't hold on to things that aren't working. In our business, the biggest challenge is molds, right? So for like a rubber toy, a natural rubber toy, those molds cost 20 to 30 grand. It's a lot of money.
Oh, wow. This is actually, oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It is an expensive investment. Yeah.
And rubber is the most expensive. The bowl doesn't cost that much and lick mats don't cost that much, but natural rubber toys do. And so, when you make that kind of investment, if the product doesn't work, you hate to let it go because you spent so much money on the mold. But if it's not working, you just have to let it go. Or you have to find a way to pay for your molds, which we've also done. I mean, we did some very unique partnerships in the early years that allowed us to open a lot of molds with no debt. Each mold was paid for in the first purchase order.
Oh,
So
wow. That's great.
So again, I think creativity plays a big role in success. Thinking outside the box, doing things differently than everybody else. You don't
And
have
with passion, if I may add something, I can see that you have a lot of passion as well for
Yeah,
your brand and for everything that you built.
it's been really fun, and I'm proud of what we've built, and I'm especially proud of how we built it. Because we just didn't do things the same way as everybody else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's become
That's a nice story. And I'm very glad that we have covered it all here. And thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so
Victor, it's
much
been
for
a pleasure.
explaining. And that pleasure is all mine. I will ask you one last thing though, especially for those tuning in right here. What's next for SodaPup? What's next that we can keep an eye out? Maybe a new expansion of yours, maybe a new line of yours. Is there something, just a little spoiler that you can give us so that we can all be like, oh my God, when is this going to happen?
Well, so what I would say, this may not be terribly exciting, but in the beginning, when you enter a category, you really have to differentiate, right? And so the products that we design have tended to be a bit more niche than other more established brands in the marketplace. But now that we have a strong point of view and we've got great distribution, it actually gives us the opportunity to go back and develop some more basics programs that might fulfill the needs of a wider audience. So
that's nice to know.
We're kind of looking at all the different places where we've gotten a lot of traction and saying, okay, how can we make some more approachable products that can drive a lot of volume, right? And so we've been building more kind of the tip of the spear product to build a recognizable brand that's clearly differentiated. And so now we're moving back down. If I had just started with rubber balls, nobody would have bought it because the world doesn't need more rubber balls.
More rubber balls.
But today I could do rubber balls and people will buy it because they love SodaPup and what we stand for and
Exactly.
material story and everything else. So we are looking at those categories. And then, we introduced a new product called the Lick Stick. It's the first of its kind. It's these little things over here. And they've done remarkably well for us. And we designed them in a way where we can create new designs pretty cost effectively. So we're looking to expand that in the future as well.
That's great to know. And we'll keep an eye out for that. Especially I will keep an eye out for that, as by now everybody knows Popcorn is very much a fan of those kinds of toys. So do be sure that I'm going to create you a content in the future where you can repost and show people, oh, look, another customer in Portugal happy with our products.
I love it.
It will be lovely from my side to do that. So Adam, this is the time. Thank you very, very, very much so for coming, for explaining it all. You were an amazing guest. I barely had to ask anything. I was just deleting the questions that I was planning on asking because you were already answering them all. And that is the beauty of... No. This is actually perfect. This is perfect. People are not here to watch me. They're here to watch you. So you gave them exactly that. And once again, for the last time, we here very much appreciate your time. Your story is beautiful and we very much cheer you up for making sure that everything will continue growing and growing and growing so that we can come back again in the future and talk more about the new products that you will be selling. Sounds good?
I look forward to it. Victor, thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you as well, Adam. You're a great guy and I wish you all success. And for everyone else, you know how to find Adam's information, which will be down in the description below. Do go check it out, SodaPup, in case you have a dog, in case you know somebody who has a dog. The toys, the products, they're well worth your time and I'm pretty sure you're going to be satisfied. For everyone else, this has been Victor and Adam. Catch you in the next time.